Good morning, everyone. I'd like to share some Divrei Torah, Parashat Devarim, coming up soon, and maybe a little bit about Tisha B'Av, which is coming up next week. First thing I want to tell you is about Torah, about the beginning of Parashat Devarim. Very interesting phenomenon that's happening in this week's Parashat Devarim. Moshe Rabbeinu gives the Jewish people tochacha, rebuke, about different things that they did wrong throughout his tenure as the leader of the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu is about to die. He dies in next week's Parasha, and he decided to let them have it, take them to task for the things that they did wrong. So if you look at the Psukim, it doesn't say beferish the things that they did wrong. Let's look at the first pasuk. Be'ever hayarden ba'arava mul suf bein paran bein tofel v'lavan v'chatzeros v'di zahav. Mr. Hashem, the next piece we're going to say over a nice vart from the Rebbe of Heschel, explaining what was going on over there. V'chatzeros v'di zahav. But the point is, you need the mefarshim, you need the commentators to tell us what the words mean. So it's very strange. Moshe Rabbeinu is giving tochacha, giving rebuke, telling them things that they need to improve upon, but he doesn't tell them exactly what it is. You have to figure it out. Why doesn't he give them rebuke? When you give rebuke, usually you say what is going on. Why speak in a, as they say in Hebrew, b'derech remez, in a not straightforward manner? Usually when you give rebuke, you say what it is you want to speak to the people about, what they're improving. You don't make them figure it out. What makes it more interesting is later on he does give it to them, and he does tell them outright exactly what his issues are, what exactly did wrong. So the question is, why this strange format? In the beginning, he goes and he says it not straightforward, and then in the end he does tell them straightforwardly what the issue is. Why do that? My good friend Zalman Miller used to be in the Kollel here in Miami Beach. Told me a fascinating idea from his Rav. I'll tell a story, short little story, and then I'll explain this Chazal, what's really going on. The Rav, his shul, I think his name is Rabbi Kahana, I think is his name, told over a story. There was a fellow in the shul that noticed something that was going on with another member of the shul, and he felt, he meant well, wasn't trying to start up, he felt that the Rav should speak to this individual about a certain behavior, certain thing that was going on with this fellow, and this, they'll call him Ruvain, felt that the Rav would speak to Shimon. Shimon's not a bad guy, he's just a person that needs terchacha, needs chizuk, needs terchacha. And if the Rav would speak to him about this Indian, he would be mechazak him, he would encourage him to improve in this particular behavior that wasn't becoming a a person of his stature. Okay? So the Rav said, Mr. Shem, in a few weeks it will be taken care of. So like a good Jew, he challenged the Rav. Rabbi, I don't understand, if you don't mind, the Gemara says, it's a Chazal, it's earlier, Rabbeinu, Rabbi, teach us. Why? Why a few weeks? If you speak to the person, I understand. If you don't want to speak to him, what's going to change in a few weeks? He said, this is what he said, it's such a beautiful idea. This fellow that you mentioned to me about, he's only been coming to the shul for a short amount of time. I don't have a relationship with him. I don't know him that well. If I go over to him and I bring up this topic, he might be insulted. He might not accept it. I mean, I don't, Rabbi, I don't know you that well. All of a sudden, you're interested in my welfare? I mean, just you come over to me to to bring up something that I'm doing wrong. So the Rav felt he needed a few weeks to be makar of him, to become close to him, show him that he cares about him, he loves him. He said he needs a few weeks. First he invited him over for a Shabbos meal with his family. He invited him to shir. Spend time with him. You build a connection with him. Then he felt he could go over and mention this topic to him because the fellow would accept it. Because it's obviously coming from a place of love and concern. But if you just go over to somebody who you don't know that well, even if you're the rabbi, and you just mention something, you might not accept it. Beautiful insight. That's what took a few weeks. It wasn't being lazy. It wasn't pushing him off. He felt he needed a few weeks to first build the connection with that fellow. We'll call him Shimon. Once he has the connection with Shimon, then he would be able to bring up something that he might need to improve in a certain area. The idea is that Torah rebuke can only work if the person is ready to accept it. If the person is not ready to accept it, it's not going to work. So just like the Rav needed time to build a kesher, build a connection with the fellow, in order to, so then the Torah would have an effect. Because otherwise it wouldn't have an effect. The Rav felt that it wouldn't work. The person is not ready to accept the Torah because he might resist it. Who are you to come over and start telling me stuff? I don't know you. He felt the need to build a connection with him. And then once he felt that he would be willing to accept the Techacha's rebuke, then the Rav brought it up, and that's what happened. Why am I bringing in this story? That could be what's going on over here. Moshe Rabbeinu felt, first you start off, you talk to the people, you don't give it to them all right. You just give them all you got. No. You start off, derech remez, hinting, and he wanted to see whether or not they were receptive. Do they want to hear Techacha? Do they want to hear rebuke? Some people, natural, is to resist it. Moshe Rabbeinu was testing them to see if they really wanted to hear rebuke. Once he saw that they were receptive to the rebuke, that they were willing to accept it, then he gave it to him later on. So that's the answer to the question. Why did he first talk like derech remez, hint, and then he gave it to him? The answer is, like we said before, he wanted to see whether or not they were going to be open for the suggestions. If a person shuts you off, don't waste your time. Moshe Rabbeinu had what to do. He felt you start off, you see if they were receptive to hearing Techacha. If they are ready to hear it, then you give them all you got. You tell them exactly what's on your mind. And you really give it to him, which is what he did. But Techacha rebuke will not work if the person's not ready to accept it. First he wanted to see whether or not people were willing to accept the rebuke, and then he gave the rebuke. A very important lesson we learn, that whenever you tell somebody something, especially of this nature, something that they have to improve upon, that they're doing something wrong, that they're not really holding where they should be, people resist it. They don't want to hear it. So especially when it comes to something like this, you have to be very careful to make sure that the person is willing to accept what you have to say. First you test them out, you see whether or not they're interested in your comments. If they are, then you go ahead and you tell them what you need to do. Beautiful lesson from the beginning of this week's Parasha.